Hi everyone, and welcome to a coffee and conversation session to think about the importance of sleep. When we've been looking at the Upstrive data, where children log their emotions at the start of the day to help them understand how they're feeling, we've noticed that lots of them feel tired. And when we delve into that, we can see that a lot of them aren't getting enough sleep. Equally, sometimes we ourselves as adults aren't getting enough sleep, and I wanted to share with you some information about sleep and sleep habits that I found really useful in the past. I don't always use it, but I do find it helpful to know. So as we know, sleep is really important for a number of different reasons. I put some things on the slide in front of us, but the key thing is it does affect our physical health. More importantly for our students, it affects their school performance and their ability to do well as to regulate their emotions and to feel calm and happy within school. It's really key. You don't always know how much sleep, and the table in front of you here is very much an average for an average person. Some people will say, I only need a few hours sleep. They need more sleep. It's like 0.01% of people that can get by on only a few hours sleep in the world. And actually, if you look for our teenagers, there's a huge amount of sleep they need, and that only gets more as they're younger members of the school. We've got some tips in front of you there, but I want to walk through why those tips are important with a bit of the science behind it. Firstly, you may have heard of melatonin. It's famous for melatonin capsules that some people take. You've got to be very careful of those, and I wouldn't recommend medicating in any way, but it is important that you understand that melatonin is the chemical that helps you get to sleep. It's the chemical that helps you to go to sleep at night. And that stops being produced if you have a lot of light. So if you're watching TV, watching an iPad, blue light we're particularly receptive to because we developed and evolved from things that lived under the ocean where blue light could get through. Blue light's very bad because it inhibits the melatonin, stops you getting to sleep. Dimming the lights, having red light, making sure we're not on devices, that's why reading the book is fantastic with the low light condition, helps us get to sleep. That's why those routines are really important. Having downtime, making sure we're putting those devices elsewhere outside the bedroom, etc. Then there's these things called circadian rhythms that you might have heard of. There are natural rhythms of wakefulness and tiredness throughout the day. And what's important to know is they do change a little bit when you're a teenager. So they do physically feel more tired in the morning. It's also why it's really important to have a rhythm. If you get up at the same time every day, that's the best predictor of health physically and emotionally. If in the holidays or the weekends your child is getting up much later, that's going to disrupt your circadian rhythms and make you more tired through the week. If you have a holiday where your teenager is getting up late or your preteen is getting up maybe 10 o'clock, when they go back to school it's like jet lag. We call it cultural jet lag. Being consistent with wake up and going to bed times is really, really important. Now, it's also important to know that some people are more likely, because of these circadian rhythms, to be more awake at night and some more awake in the morning. So be aware of that. Then there's these other things. When you wake up, your body starts to produce this thing called adenosine. Now, adenosine is a chemical that makes you sleepy. Think of it like sleepy dust. That builds up, and then eventually when you go to sleep, your body gets rid of that, it goes back down. The more adenosine you have, the more sleepy you feel. Kind of makes sense. Now, things like caffeine, I drink too much coffee, stops you basically receiving that adenosine, stops it doing its work. Like a pair of headphones stops you hearing sound. So if your child is drinking caffeinated drinks, things like Coke, in the afternoon, it takes your body a long time to get rid of that. It's blocking that signal, stopping them going to sleep. So ideally no caffeine whatsoever, but also helping your child understand what has caffeine in and what doesn't. Chocolate has caffeine in. Who knew? I didn't for a long time. So think about making your diet reflect what's going on, whether that's drinking or eating. So, my key advice to you, know the things I've talked about. Know how much sleep your child should be getting. Now think of that as a sleep opportunity. So if they need 8 hours sleep, make sure they've got the opportunity of being in bed and asleep for 8 hours. Make sure you understand these parts to play. Melatonin, blocked by having lots of light, lots of blue light. Circadian rhythms, making sure we have a consistent start and end time routine. And making sure we understand that things like caffeine in chocolate, in drinks, can block adenosine, which stops us feeling sleepy, stops us being able to go to bed. If you can do all of that, your child will get a better sleep routine. You will as well, I will as well. And we'll make sure we're happier, better able to regulate, and better able to do our best at school. So thank you for supporting GEMS Founders School Dubai South with sleep routines. I hope you found this coffee and conversations useful. Thank you very much.